She's been there, done that, and now she's set for the big leap. On Duologue NXT, I discover how the scion of the Nalli Group, Lavanya, has broken a century-old tradition and created her own imprints. New markets, new products. What's next for Lavanya? Let's unpack. This is Duologue NXT with me, Varun Das. Welcome to Duologue NXT, Lavanya.
Thank you.
I start off straight away, a question which is very close to my heart. Close to 90 years old business, you made your way through into the family business, and I've heard you saying that your dad and your granddad were sort of ambivalent about whether you should come in or not. Tell me about that incident. How did it happen? That was the second stint. Immediately after engineering, you joined your group. Then you went out, you did your studies and worked in corporate organization, McKinsey, Myntra, and then you came back. So how did that happen, as much as you can share with me?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So I did 2 stints at my family business. I graduated 2005 and I was 21, computer engineer. India was a very different place back then. Joined the family business with no idea, no background in economics, accounting, retail, sarees, nothing. So that was both a blessing and a curse.
So basically, you did not go for your campus interview. You did not go for any further studies, either an MBA exam and all. You went after your engineering, you went to your family business.
So up to engineering was what I had negotiated with my parents. Because like any good South Indian girl, if you're good in studies, you can either become a doctor or an engineer. So
that holds true also for a Bengali girl or a boy.
Yes. So certain things are universal across India.
Yeah.
So I did that. What ended up happening was in my final year, I had the opportunity to do a project. I had done one at a hardware company and I had 2 weeks to go, and I did that in the back office of Nalli.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, RFID and was just coming up as a technology. Now,
That's
of course,
right.
it's been 20 years since.
That's right.
But as a result of working on that project, I saw the retail business from the inside. Right, and I saw how much of it is like inventory turnover, consumer, there's so much that goes into it, and I was hooked immediately. So I decided to go in to the family business. I think also it was a byproduct of that era. There weren't startups the way that there is now. I think I would say I was politely tolerated. So my father's entire philosophy.
Tolerated for what? Your technical bent of mind, your sharpness, that you can bring in new stuff into the business. Tolerated for what?
Tolerated because I think the prevailing wisdom at the time, and this is like I said 2 decades ago, a good South Indian girl will fill her time till she gets married.
Yeah.
And so the idea was that, okay, how much damage can she do? You let her in the business, it's withstood 100 years, it will withstand her. So, but with that, I think what ends up happening is, and I contrast this with how my brother entered the business. When I came in, I was allowed to make mistakes because no one had an eye on me. So the good thing about that is all of my mistakes, I learned from them and there was no pressure. The bad thing, so to speak, was that there was no structured kind of training, apprenticeship. I had to sort of stumble along and figure things out. But luckily, my personality lent itself to that. So when you contrast that with how my brother entered the business.
He was under the scanner always.
From day one.
Right.
Right. And you always have the father and you have the patriarch. I think I just wanted a get out of jail free card. Because by the time I was 23, I think my mom kept going on about, you're getting older, it's time for you to get married. And I thought I need an excuse that no one can say no to. And I just started, somewhere I got this idea in my head that this is the time for me to go do an MBA. And it was very organic, like it genuinely came about that way. I had realized that 4 years into the family business, I had learned everything that I could organically. But beyond a certain point, I hit a ceiling. It was a whim and a fancy. I applied to Harvard and I never thought I'd get in. But the day I got in, then I remember I went straight to my dad and I said, you can't say no to this.
When you went to Harvard, you had in your mind, or you were saying that it's just a happy turn of events, you had in your mind that you'll equip yourself better to run business and come back and
Yes,
join
exactly.
your business?
Because I was there. That was the goal with
That
which I
was the
went.
goal for which you had gone to Harvard.
Yes.
And what better place than Harvard?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So 4 years that I had worked in the family business, and I went there with a goal. It was an excellent exposure. It was also an excellent exposure for a different reason. The US is very different from India, right? India is a highly fragmented market even today. But you look at the US, you look at any industry, the top 3, 5, 6 companies, highly consolidated, right? Like they will own 50%, 60%, 80% of market share. Versus India, it is the nation of the long tail.
And I put it the other way around, that we are the most competitive markets in all fields in India. I mean, because of the scarcity economy and so much of fierce competition, I think that is one of the things that is ingrained in us to thrive in a competitive scenario.
And India had the demographic dividend. The US is a much more stable industry.
Right.
Everything there was a market share game. If it's a market share game and the pie is not growing at an exponential rate, you really have to think about your decisions very deeply, because if you make one mistake, your competitor is going to seize market share. Versus in India, and what I saw later when I came to Myntra, it's an opportunity cost game. If you take too much time to take a decision, the opportunity is gone. Your competitors already moved, right? So we had an emergent strategy in India, and that's the perspective that I got after seeing, working with the Fortune 100, Fortune 50 companies in the US through McKinsey. And then I came here and I saw a very different economy, very different ecosystem, very different sort of consumer profile, very different problems, and how one needs to pivot, right? Here it is not about, look, don't make a mistake. Here it's about move fast. Failures are accepted. Inaction is not.
Right. So from McKinsey, you made a shift to Myntra. You came back and joined Myntra.
Yes, I was in McKinsey.
Flipkart was taking over Myntra, and that is the time some of your friends had indicated that you could.
I was in McKinsey for about 3 years.
3 years.
And in fact, my husband and I took a sabbatical. So I had met him at Harvard Business. We, fell in love, got married. And both of us were in the consulting life, so two consultants in one home. Right, we never see each other and clean desk and all of that. 3 years of that life, and we felt, let's take a sabbatical. And when we came to India in 2013, for those of us who remember that time, the whole country was bubbling, right? Like e-commerce had just picked up. There was so much sort of VC money getting poured into it. There was Flipkart, there was Snapdeal, Amazon had entered, I think, a couple of years ago, or had just entered then. Then you had Myntra, you had Jabong. Now, obviously, all of them have sort of consolidated. But that was sort of the atmosphere, right, back then. So a friend of mine who was ex-McKinsey, and he had left the firm earlier because he was just drawn to this, was with Flipkart, heard I was on a sabbatical. We chatted up, friendly chat. No agenda. And he said, look, anyway, on a sabbatical, you haven't figured out your next steps, go meet with this company and see if you like it.
And you saw that it's aligned with your family business. It's an online retail business.
No, actually, no. It was just, I really went in with just an open mind.
How long were you there for?
With Myntra, about 1.5 years.
And then you made the switch you thought that now it's time for you to go back to your family business.
Yeah.
The calling came.
Yes.
Calling came from within, not from your dad.
That also.
Then just an academic question. If that be the case, then your natural movement should have been to go and create something on your own. With your pedigree, VC funding would have lined up. But then you just said that you would have liked that, but then you still went back to your family business, which is already, in those days also, it would be about 500-600 crore turnover business, right?
Yes.
So you still went back there to take it to a different level.
See, the way it clicked for me was I had seen the e-commerce story. See, now everybody talks about it like it's so obvious, but in 2013, the incumbents, right, the very large brick and mortar retail players in India looked at e-commerce as some sort of weird discounting play, because everything was discounted. There were companies that was gross margin negative.
They were playing the valuation game only.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And then just like everyone is sort of stealing
They were showing
share
a
from
dream.
each other.
10 years down the line, it's going to grow to that extent.
Yes, and some of those companies are around and some aren't. But,
Yeah, most of them aren't.
but it was what worked for them and it was what was needed, right? See, when you have such easy money, because access to capital was what drove all of this.
That's
right?
right.
Access to capital was what drove
But then
all
again,
of this.
it possibly would have depended on the product category. I mean, I was talking to Falguni Nair some time back. Before she came in and launched Nykaa and changed the supply chain for her own thing, cosmetics sale on online it didn't really pick up. So I would wonder from outside. Sari is one of the three. Like sari, you have fabric, and then you have ready-to-wear garments. If I talk about women garments, sari is something always it was felt, picked up, weight was measured, and then it was bought. So sari being online, when you're looking at it from that point in time, these considerations didn't cross your mind that whether sari could actually can be a product or a category which can take off on online sales?
I'll answer that question with another question.
Right.
But I'll give you two examples.
I would always have found e-com to be not so exciting for the category that Nalli was in.
Nalli was already a very strong brand. And so consumers felt that, look, I know this brand. If I don't like it,
They'll take it back.
they will take it back.
Your online sales, has it matched up to your expectations?
Nalli philosophy is whatever you do, it has to turn a profit. So I don't care if it's e-commerce is that, and there's no EBITDA and all of these fancy numbers. I'm talking about profit before tax.
So sari being online, when you're looking at it from that point in time, these considerations didn't cross your mind that whether sari could actually can be a product or a category which can take off on online sales?
I'll answer that question with another question.
Right.
But I'll give you two examples. Groceries.
Yeah.
How do you, when you buy tomatoes, how do you know that you're going to get good tomatoes?
Right.
You want to go select it, look at
Right,
it, touch
feel
it,
it and
right?
see that,
Because
huh?
it's organic. How many of us buy from Big Basket or any of the big grocery retailers? We don't even think about it.
But the
because,
thing is
because
that-
the convenience has taken over.
I know,
right?
but there is a one small catch there. Again, it's an academic discussion that that's a low value one. So if you go grossly wrong in tomato, next time you won't buy from them. And then the frequency of buying tomato is almost every day. So that one is while you're consuming, but before consuming, before cooking,
The risk of getting it wrong is low.
Right.
Is basically
But
what
in
you say.
sari, possibly, today it has become more like a fancy item. In those days, maybe earlier days, it was more utility item. So people would buy without really look and feeling it and putting it on them, draping it. Would they really go for it? I mean, how did it, your online sales, has it matched up to your expectations when you got
I think it can do much more, but I think it did match up, right? Like it was the first few years was excellent all the way up till COVID. In fact, COVID was a disruptor for everybody.
Everybody or a corrector, I would say. A lot of things got corrected.
Yes, but I think also COVID made it, it did a lot to accelerate the shift to e-commerce around that. It also shifted a lot of consumer behaviors. How do you mitigate that? So there are three ways of doing it, right? The e-commerce way of doing it is returns. You don't like it, you return it, that's fine. But it's going to crush your unit economics.
Yes.
Right? The second thing is the trust in the brand name. Nalli was already a very strong brand. And so consumers felt that, look, I know this brand. If I don't like it,
They'll take it back.
they will take it back. Third thing which I realized, because Myntra was an apparel brand, an online apparel brand, and that was the company where I think I really saw it from the inside and it shaped a lot of my thinking. Whether you buy in real life or you buy online, you look for the same things. And that plus I think with McKinsey, what I learned was a very sort of objective, analytical way of doing things. One of the big aha moments for me, because the catalog team will go and write and say, this is silk, this is cotton. This is not how consumers shop. They'll go look at that picture, they'll zoom in. That's it. They zoom in to get a feel of the fabric. Then if they feel like, okay, this looks good, then they'll read the fine print. You need very high resolution pictures so that they can really zoom in and they get the texture, the feel almost as if they would in real life. Now sarees have a further complication. So you have zari, right? So which is like really metallic and shiny. So your lighting has to be really finessed, right? So it's a little trickier than something that's flat.
Lot many variables are there. Like I would never shop a suit online.
Right.
So, there are lot many variables out there.
So I was having all of these ideas, and then I was stuck in traffic, truly speaking, because Myntra was at that time in the Kudlu Gate in Bangalore, and I was going back to Indiranagar, and it rained, and I was stuck for 2 hours on the road. Every call that I had kept dropping. It was very frustrating, and then my dad called. Right? And so I was in the rain, stuck in traffic, and he made a flippant remark, and he said, see, if you're going to work, anyway, if you're going to suffer like this, you might as well work for me. The worst pitch in the world.
So it came from him.
He said, if you're anyway going to suffer.
It's a subtle pitch, right? He said that.
So he made
it's a dad speaking.
It's a dad speaking. That's very well put. It's a dad speaking, right? So he basically said that. And I asked him and I said, are you serious? He said, yes. I said, okay, I have terms. If I come, I'm going to pick up on the call.
That's happening on the call.
On the call.
What a traffic jam to be in.
On the call. And I said, look, I have terms. I said, when I was 21 and I came in, I didn't know any better, but I benefited from that, right? I stumbled through things and I figured out my own way, and it really helped me. But now I'm a little surer of myself, and I've seen a little bit, and I want to bring in a bit more structure. I see the vision. I see that e-commerce is here to stay. I think that we should enter this space. Do you have anyone in your team who is either thinking about doing that or is opposed to it? And his answer was, I don't know. I don't think so. I think we're all sort of neutral and indifferent to it. Would you be okay with me carving that out as a business unit? Nalli philosophy is, whatever you do, it has to turn a profit. So I don't care if it's e-commerce is that, and there's no EBITDA and all of these fancy numbers. I'm talking about profit before tax, right? PBT. So there has to be cash in the bank.
My thing is that, again, from outside, I might have the advantage of hindsight. It's a very pure academic point of view that I would always have found e-com to be not so exciting for the category that Nalli was in, because it's mainly elderly women and wedding. That's what Nalli sarees used to be.
No, I wouldn't say elderly women. Wedding sarees, yes.
And those, normally if your profile, your customer base, they would be on the higher side, upper side of 40 or 50, right?
No.
No?
No, it's across the spectrum actually.
No, now across the spectrum, but the majority would be on the higher side, no?
No.
Then Nalli next you have brought in, right? So that's to look at this younger generation.
Yes, back then in 2005. Now I think that's been folded into the organization. We have sort of pivoted a little bit. We have Nalli Fashion, right, which is the newer, more contemporary Nalli. And my brother conceptualized that, and he sort of like drives that. And
but
then
he
we
drives
have
the jewelry business as well as Nalli
folded
Fashion.
into, yes, that's folded into Nalli Fashion. So that's
that's
the new,
folded into,
yes.
that's a part of Nalli Fashion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Not high margin, never high margin.
Not high,
Ours are
even
never high
despite
margin.
being $3,100.
See, if you're going to put pure gold, the cost of gold is that much.
I recently come across a lady called Dolly Jain. Have you heard about her?
Yes, we worked with her.
She drapes a sari and charges 2 lakhs, which would have taken you 4 weeks to make.
Yes.
How did you win that battle and make your mark there in your own business?
I think in my head it was like, look, I want this. Someone's got a problem with it, sounds like your problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that worked out.
Yeah, that's a very subdued revelation. I also heard you saying that in 2016-17 you had a vision to make Silk Nalli the #1 silk brand in the world. I often wonder that, you have recently seen that controversy on Kolhapuri chappal, and I made a comment. I said that if somebody can make a brand worth 1.5 lakh from a 3,500 rupees Kolhapuri chappal. So it reflects poorly on us that we couldn't make it. You have taken sari to NRIs, but recently I had hosted one of the ladies, her name is Bianca Balti. She's a Dolce & Gabbana face, an Italian model, a cancer survivor. I had a brilliant conversation with her. She was here for 3 days and all she wore was sari. I sometimes wonder that like Ayurveda, like yoga, whether we had an opportunity to take sari to the global arena beyond NRI. It's like a fashion statement. It's like an ultimate level of fashion. Is that a possibility, that a dream that one can ever foster that?
Yes. Short answer is yes. And there are different ways of doing it. There is a way that we could do it the way the designers do it, right? I'll give you another example. Like, look at Sabyasachi. And he started out as in saris and handloom and heirloom, and he was such a purist, right? And kept adapting. Now his brand is huge, right? And he's really put India on the map for high quality products, right?
Yes.
But it's also high margin.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because you have to
some
play
of your
that
sarees
game.
also are about.
Are not high margin, never high margin.
Not high,
Ours are
even
never high
despite
margin.
being $3,100.
Never high margin.
Right.
See, if you're going to put pure gold, the cost of gold is that much.
So it's not high
It's
margin.
never high margin. The value itself is that high, right? What you're getting is a very high quality. Why can't we have a brand?
That's exactly was my.
Why can't we have a brand that makes the best in the world accessible to every woman in India? Why should she have to pay 1 lakh for it?
Or why not that I take that market of 1 lakh by creating those brands ourselves?
For Nalli, look, we've always been about the heart and soul of India.
Right.
Right. And for us, is the consumer who comes in saying, look, this is my hard-earned money for a wedding, or this is me as a young, daughter, son, and with my first paycheck, I want to buy my mum a sari. I want the best that my money can buy, right? I don't want to pay 1 lakh for a sari that you got from the weaver for 10,000 rupees.
Absolutely.
I want to buy a sari for 1 lakh that I know that this brand has a razor thin margin, has negotiated. The value of that sari itself is probably 80,000.
So now, obviously, you told me that how your brother was treated completely differently when
Yes.
he was being. No, why I say this? Because that's a normal tradition.
Yeah.
Where the family business, the baton gets passed on to the guys. So tell me, how did it happen and how did you win that battle and make your mark there in your own business?
Honestly, I didn't realize I was fighting a battle. I just did whatever the heck I wanted, and everybody else.
So you stuck to your own choice, stuck to your own
but I wasn't
vision.
even a rebel. Like, I think in my head it was like, look, I want this. Someone's got a problem with it. Sounds like your problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that worked out.
Yeah, that's a very subdued revelation. Are you happy seeing yourself the distance that you covered so far? I'm sure that when you
that's
took
a lovely
that up,
question.
because you had a challenge for yourself. Definitely, you might not have articulated it to the world, and whether you had kept an eye on how is your brother doing. Is there an unspoken competition that you set yourself to? So your competition, your benchmark was yourself.
My friend and support and partner is my brother, and I like the way that athletes think, right? Exactly to that, like, your competition is your last best.
That's right. So have you done justice to your vision so far? Has things turned out to be?
I think I'm an eternal striver. I look at it and I'm never satisfied.
Yeah, that's how.
I feel there's much more that I can scale. I'm happy and I'm proud.
Are you going back to the drawing board ever, or are you taking a step back or taking a fresh guard to prepare yourself for the coming 5 or 10 years, doing something new or trying to get better than what you have achieved so far?
On a personal level, yes. I think I'm always open. I'm like you said, and like yourself, an eternal student.
Yeah.
I think it's good to be intellectually curious. And it's interesting because at this stage in my life, there's a lot of good ideas that I get from my team. And all of that goes in to help me continue to sort of adapt to the world and the dynamism that I think like every business needs to evolved to.
So there would be newer things unfolding as far as
Yes.
Lavanya Nalli is concerned. We look forward to find that out. Before we part ways, as far as today's discussion is concerned, I had a question. I recently come across a lady called Dolly Jain. Have you heard about her?
Yes, we worked with her.
You worked with
Yes.
her. Now, she drapes a sari and charges 2 lakhs, and consumer would have paid 2 lakhs to buy that sari, which would have taken you 4 weeks to make. And she takes 4 minutes to drape the sari and charges 2 lakhs. Did it ever occur to you that, one of the impediments of sari would be for the new generation is how cumbersome it is to drape, right? That could be one. And therefore, newbie brands that come up which has ready-to-wear saris. And as I was saying, that if I have to make sari a global phenomenon, where if there are mainstream Western people would come in and buy saris, provided they knew how to drape it. That's a hypothesis that I have. So do you think that is an option with which you could expand your market, especially in the international arena?
Yes, absolutely. And I think this goes back to the thing of that is what would fall squarely in the wheelhouse of new product line.
Right.
Ready-made saris, because now people deconstruct it. Old school saris, there was one sari, running material, the running blouse, you cut it, stitch the blouse, made everything, right? Now you buy the sari, you get the fallen picot stitched, you pair it up with a different blouse, right? Like there's a lot of, and this is just, I'm talking about a sari that is still a sari. Then you have the semi-draped, pre-draped saris as well. All of these are new product lines that come up based on what the need states are of the very different consumers. But there's still that purist, right? There's still that old school
I know,
consumer
but I'm
as
saying
well.
old school consumer, you're giving the service of draping the sari. Let's say Julia Roberts had walked in one of your stores, you are also providing the service of draping the sari on the special occasion when she's planning to wear it, and charge equal as much as the sari cost, like Dolly Jain.
Yeah, I think we look at it and it is a direction we can take. But my answer to that is, where do your organizational capabilities lie, right? Where is the opportunity for you? I would rather set up 50 more stores. I don't think we've even scratched the surface, right? The Nalli brand name is so huge that with the finite bandwidth, time, space, capital, this is where I think I want to go, and I genuinely want to bring the best of what Nalli has to offer to every household in India.
Yes, I think that's very doable, and I'm sure that the opportunity for Nalli is still sky high. So all the best, Lavanya. It's been great talking to you, and I'm sure that people who would be watching it, especially second generation entrepreneur who are women, would have a lot to learn from you.
Thanks
a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.